Delay. The delay is finally not happening. Go live. All right, we should be live. I think. Let me. Oh, there she is. Always one more button I gotta push. Yeah, always one more button. Let's see. Jill, you have the YouTube channel up, right?
I do.
I will let you refresh. I'm flying blind at the moment. I assume we're up. Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Doing what's good by my friend and managing editor and colleague and all good stuff, Jill Simonello from Chicago. Jill's in her home office. I have to tell you, let's make sure it's live. There's always an ad placement.
It is live. I do see it.
All right, we're good. I'm a little bit tired tonight, Jill. I was kind of out of pocket for a while. So I have started the great rock project of 2021. I have the east side of my property. There's always been these things called goat heads. Do you know what a goat head is? Yeah. So a goat head is a weed. It's actually the it comes off the weed. It's the little thing that comes out of this weed, and it's round circle. It's got two pointy ends on it, and it is the size of, say, your thumbnail. Oh, my thumbnail, maybe two of your thumbnails. Anyways, it is rather large, and this thing goes right in your tennis shoes, and just sticks in your tennis shoes. You walk in the house, and it's like, and the things are falling up tennis shoes. And whenever you bend over onto like the ground, it goes right into your kneecap because that's obviously where it's going to go. And these goat heads they're a weed that grows, and off the weed comes these little pods, and the pods will grow the goat heads out of them. So I've declared war on goat heads the last 2 years. So we've lived in the house 6 years. My neighbor used to be a farmer, and he has lots of leftover weed killer spray. And he came over last year and sprayed the hell out of my yard. It's not really a yard. It's the east side of my house. They consider it a yard because I have a what do I have? A corner lot, but it's not really a yard. I mean, it's kind of rock, whatever. So I've decided this year it's it. I just got done rototilling the entire east side, and I put down the black landscape fabric, and I'm going to do the back, the side, and the west side. I need to add some more rock over there. So I'm guessing about 8 tons of rock, which means the F-150 hybrid is going to get a workout, because I'm going to try to get the bigger dump bin that holds 8,000 pounds, which is 4 tons of rock, so I can make like 2 trips. My plan is to start at one end of my east side, lift up the hydraulics on the dump bed, and then drive forward all the way across and see if I can't lay out an even, strand of rock along this part. So, yes, that's my plan. I'm going to spend like $1,000, maybe $2,000 on rock. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be expensive. But I'm done with the roundup and spraying these damn goat heads. And so the dog runs after the people in the alleyway, and she gets all of her paws. These
They're like
goat
little
heads.
stickers, right?
Yeah.
I had to Google that, by the way,
Oh,
because I'm like, what in the heck is he talking about? You're like,
yes.
these things, and it's stick. I'm like having, like I don't know. So I had to look them up, and it looks like they come from a pretty yellow flower and then turn into
A
like
nightmare.
sticky things.
Yes, a nightmare. Yeah. So I got today. I was kind of proud of myself. I have a rototiller I got from a neighbor. The neighbor it
Okay.
was moving to California, didn't need a rototiller anymore, and he looked at my 62 and said, small engines, so you've got to get this thing working." That was the exact quote. So I kind of did. So I last year I got it running, and then this year I went to start it today and did not run. It ran and died, and so I finally twice I took the carburetor off, and I finally got the needle cleaned, or I don't know if it's a gas inlet or the needle clean. One of the two was plugged, and I got it running. Now this thing, Jill, I would love to get video of you behind this thing, because this thing, when you pull down and engage the clutch and engages the tines, it just takes off. There is no speed adjustment. There's no like throttle adjustment for speed. It just goes. It's like, imagine like riding a horse if the horse got like branded on the side. It's like, yeehaw! And like my shoulders hurt, my arms hurt, and my stomach, everything hurt, because it's a full body workout, this thing. Trying to hold this thing back. And it only does like 1.5 feet or maybe 2 feet. And I had to do 7 passes. Because this is how bad I am at math. I walked off my property, and I thought I had about 14 feet by 50 feet was kind of my length I was doing. It turns out it's 20 feet by 115.
You're just off a little bit.
So the first thing tomorrow morning, I have to run back to the store and buy more landscape fabric because I bought these. They come in 6-foot wide by 100-foot long rolls, and I didn't get all the way across. And I was like, oh, well, I guess it's longer than I thought. So I need 2 more of those because you have to cover every square foot of this thing. And then I haven't even done the backyard yet. So this is my great project, and if I can get this done, then it's bonus golf time with my new golf cart that I've been showing off. But I bonus golf time to get this project done. And I did make some tee times for tomorrow and Friday, but I said to my golf partner, I said, those are to be determined by how well I can walk, by how well I get done around the house, because this is a massive project. And this is one of the things that I bought the truck for, and my wife reminded me, and people reminded me. I bought the truck for to do some stuff around the house, get some stuff done, and this is the one thing. This is it. This is the one project I've been putting off and putting off. And finally I said it's time to do it. And I can't wait for it to get done because I'm tired of these damn goat heads. There you go. There's my story. I should check the comments. I'm sure the comments can be like, what the is he talking about? Anyways, that's why I could be a little tired. I've had maybe a couple beers already because whenever you do a good job like that out in the sun all the time, you have to cool off. And nothing better than a cold beer to cool off.
6 minutes on goat heads. I'm just going to put that out there for you.
Yes. Yeah. So my dad when he plays golf in Michigan, him and his buddies are always like, go ahead. So he took some of these goat heads back with him so he could tell people about the go ahead. Yeah. Wonk wonk. All right.
And I'm like, Brum.
So I need to grab my laptop and figure out the comments, follow along what's going on here. But I wanted to throw it to you if you could talk about the VW situation. Because I'm sure you've been...
As I like to call it, the VW debacle.
Yeah, I'm sure you have some opinions on this. We may have some differing opinions on this because, holy cow, has it exploded! But hold on. Assume the audience knows nothing about this, and please start with what happened.
All right. So, and I by the way, that's a verbal tick of mine. All right. So that I've been trying to get rid of, but apparently doing a very bad job of it. And I sent some video to Tim today to edit, and every other thing was, all right, so, and I'm like, shit. So, excuse me, but yeah, so not gone yet. All right, so, what happened was, earlier this week, Volkswagen decided, so here's the thing, okay. So the USA Today, a Gannett paper, national paper. My parents subscribe to this newspaper. Yes, the actual physical paper, and they ran a story saying that Volkswagen was changing their name to Volkswagen. So taking away the K and putting in a T, and to talk about give a nod toward their electric future. And I think they posted it, was it maybe Monday? They posted it on the automotive forum.
Yeah.
And my comment was checks calendar, because right around this time, all the automakers love to put out fake press releases. And it's a nod to April Fool's Day. And there have been some really good ones throughout the years I remember one year BMW put out a press release about they were launching a new manual transmission with 2 reverse gears so that you could go up to 50 miles per hour in reverse with the second gear in reverse. And, Honda is famous for doing them. They had the selfie, the HRV selfie edition or something like that, where you could take pictures of yourself in the car, and I don't know, but at any rate, so this is a thing in the automotive industry, and people put out the fake press releases. So I'm like, I automatically assumed this was an April Fool's joke, because come on, Volkswagen, really? But a couple of journalists picked it up and they ran with it. They contacted Volkswagen, and Volkswagen, I'm not going to interject any commentary here, but somebody from Volkswagen, I don't know who, but somebody from Volkswagen confirmed it as true. So rather than saying, hey, this is an April Fool's joke, maybe I pulled the joke a little bit longer, they confirmed it as being a factual thing. So then you have a whole bunch of other journalists who pick this up and run with it and are running stories that it's true. Well, just today, I think it was today, it's been a really long day. I didn't do what you did, but I did some other things. They came back and they're like, no, 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 haha, just kidding, April Fools.
So we ran a video on this channel because I was sitting here doing some more editing and I saw the story and I was like, all right, fine. I mean, people have confirmed it. It seems like it's a real thing. It's stupid, but so I ran a video. I mean, when other journalists report the same news and they have confirmed sources and it's this, this everybody in the world's running the same story. Eventually, you're just like, all right, well, it's got to be. It seems like it's going to be somewhat practical, and VW's confirmed it. So I mean, it's one of those things.
But they didn't confirm it to you.
I know. So Jill gets mad at me with this stuff. But anyways, so CNN ran it. See, CNN ran it. But anyways,
I don't.
I know. Anyways, this is our ongoing discussion with Jill. So what's really interesting about the story is not that it was a poorly done April Fool's joke, not that some intern unfortunately published the news story way too early. I mean, it just, that kind of stuff. What I found fascinating about this was how much butthurt there is from journalists. And there's apparently, besides the butthurt from journalists, people are, they're really pissed off about it. Apparently there's an SEC investigation into it because the stock price went up 5%. And they think it's, insider manipulation of the stock or something going on. The SEC's looking into it. So, I mean, this could have some serious consequences. So where are you with this? Are you seriously, like, butthurt about it? Or are you just, like, whatever? I mean...
I was following along. I'll admit, I never quite bought into, and I didn't read any of the articles from the journalists who were like, it's true, and I have sources. I saw it. I literally, my comment was, checks calendar, and walked away from it. And then I saw all the commentary today about, oh, it wasn't true, and they lied to us. And I mean, one of the comments on there, on the automotive industry forum that I admit I somewhat agree with, as a PR professional, you build a certain relationship with journalists. And when you flat out lie about something, you've completely destroyed that relationship, because it's a two-way street. We agree not to break your embargoes, but you agree to tell us the truth. And if you cannot tell the truth, the appropriate comment to make is no comment. That would have been the very simple end to all of this if whoever it was they were talking to had said no comment. And so then you have a story without having a story. And now, what I think probably happened here, because everybody's like, but it was dated April 29th, it was going to be released, and it was released a month early.
March, yeah.
No, it was dated April 29th. And I think it got released on March 29th. But here's the thing. You know how paranoid I am about embargoes. I am super, super, super duper paranoid. And so something that I could see myself doing, if there was this big reveal coming at 12:01 a.m. April 1st, I could see myself setting it for April 1 or for 12:01 on May 1st, so that if somehow I accidentally hit publish, it was not going to get scheduled until a month after the day that it was supposed to be scheduled, so that I would have time to say, oh crap, I didn't mean to hit that button, and I could bring it back. And so to me, logically what happened is somebody put a post date on it that wasn't actually the real date, so that if something accidentally got published, that it wouldn't get published before that date. But somehow it all got screwed up, and it did publish before it was supposed to be published. And yeah. So I mean, I can see both sides of the story. I didn't pay too much attention. I saw it and I thought, this has to be a joke. And then I walked away.
Yeah.
But the people who bought into it, I can see why they're angry, and especially because somebody lied to their face.
Yeah, I blew it off. I don't know. It wasn't kind of a thing.
You didn't chase the story, and you did what I don't agree with. Because my whole theory is if you cannot get independent, verification, or you don't have something to add to the story, like, don't do it.
Moving along. So Philip asked a question about Toyota and Tesla partnership rumor. Thoughts on that? That is interesting. I haven't heard that rumor yet, Philip, whatever you go by. I think we did Philip when we did your video. I hadn't heard that rumor, but it makes zero sense to me. Like, in any partnership, there's give and take. Like, what would Toyota get from Tesla? What would Tesla get from Toyota? I mean, Tesla needs a partner to grow on a grand scheme, which I'm going to get to in a minute on the EV stuff. But I don't know that Toyota has Lexus brand, and they're launching their whole battery electric charge for Lexus brand. So I don't think they have much there to gain. I don't see much to gain there.
Okay, so I just did a quick Google search because I hadn't heard anything about the partnership either. But Fox Business publishes something. It's got to be true. I'm just going to put that out there. The first story that popped up was Fox Business. But, I mean, sorry. It has been a really long week for many reasons. But unlike Tim, I have not already had a couple of beers. This is all just me. But it says, and there's three headlines. So one is from Fox Business, one's from Torque News, and one's from Electric with a K. And they all basically say that Tesla and Toyota are considering a small electric SUV platform. So a small SUV partnership is basically what that looks like. Now, here's the thing. I think Tesla could benefit from Toyota manufacturing because Toyota is incredibly efficient. They are incredibly reliable, and they have this stuff down. They know their SHIT. And, they do a really good job with their manufacturing process. However, Toyota could get an all-electric platform from Tesla because that's where I think Tesla is very forward-thinking and winning, is they know technology, and they're not afraid to experiment, and they aren't inside a box. They think outside of the box, and a lot of the traditional manufacturers have a very hard time getting outside of that box. So, I mean, I could see the mutual benefit from Toyota to Tesla and then Tesla back to Toyota. And I mean, so there's certainly more than one article that is talking about this. Apparently it went down about a day ago. I see Inside EVs also has something on it. But so the rumors resurfaced about a day ago. I mean, Tesla needs to partner with somebody.
Yeah.
I think, and whoever Tesla partners with will, I think, also get a huge benefit. So why not Toyota?
So, I mean, that leads me into the other story I saw today, which we kind of talking about electric vehicles anyways. There was a group of automakers, I think it was the entire auto industry, signed on a letter they sent to President Joe Biden asking for about $3 billion in incentives to help push the EV market forward. So the number I got two things. I got a number and I got a quote that I saw, but I didn't write down. Out of 267 million cars on the road right now, 1.25 million of those cars are electric vehicles. And the quote that they had talked about from the letter, which I was trying to find the letter, I couldn't find the letter on Auto News. Basically, they said that without more incentives and more push from the government, automakers are running the big headwinds on getting more consumers to adopt to EVs. They're getting a really hard time with that. And for them to have a near zero emissions future, they're going to need the government's help to push more consumers into EVs, is what the letter said. Which I thought was phenomenal because a lot of times you hear from automakers about battery EVs in the future. It's all future. And they literally said in the letter, help us. Help us help you. Do you want to improve the environment? We need consumers to buy in, and consumers aren't buying in. We're facing a lot of headwind from consumers buying in. And so unless we can get more incentives, we cannot sell more EVs. Which kind of profound to me. I mean, we see so much marketing talk and so many new vehicles coming out. Everybody's got a new battery electric vehicle coming out tomorrow. Every brand's got something tomorrow. There's a new electric tomorrow, and so I find it very interesting that the automakers literally said we need help, and it kind of goes back to my whole thing with the EV market. Is I want it to be a more level playing field. Like let's release all the additional models. Let's take the argument out of the critics' hands. Let's get the infrastructure going. Let's get all that stuff done, and then let's see what happens. Because there's this continuous thing saying, well, it's right there, right around the corner. We're gonna have right around the corner, right around the corner. Well, it's been right around the corner since 1970 something. Like so let's get beyond right around the corner and let's just launch these things and see what happens. Because I know Philip is a big EV advocate here, and I know this channel is very much split on EVs versus internal combustion engines. But I am more the proponent of let the free market rule. Let free market, let consumers decide what they can do. And I thought it was interesting. And then President Joe Biden made an announcement that he put up forward a $1.7 million or billion, whatever, trillion, whatever the number we're at these days. It could be a trillion. It could be, what's after a trillion? I have no idea. But it could be the next number on top. Yeah, I mean, whatever number they're putting out these days to fix infrastructure, which, I mean, frankly, infrastructure needs help. I mean, our bridges are old, and you can get a lot of people to work really fast by doing road repair. I mean, I get it. It makes sense. It's a big number. How they're going to pay for it is a different thing. There's been a lot of conversations about mileage tax, which I find pretty interesting. I think it's kind of a poor statement that the secretary made on that transportation. But I made the comment in other video live streams on this that it doesn't really matter what Biden decides to do, whatever. It's about Buttigieg, because he's talking about a mileage tax. It's about what the EPA is talking about. I mean, those things make a big difference, and Biden's just a person on top of the heap. He just passed along the message. So I find it interesting that we're at that point where we're talking about this to that degree. And I just thought it was fascinating that automakers had literally said in the letter, and I hope to find it and really put it out there, because it's like they literally said, we cannot push this along without government help. And I'm frustrated by that, because we're continually propping up an industry that can't take off on its own. And it's like, why are we picking winners and losers here? Why is the government involved in free market anyways? So that was my thing on that one. What else did I put down this live stream? I totally lost track. I had one more thing I thought.
VW's prank, EVs Federal Push, Hyundai Santa Cruz pickup.
The Santa Cruz pickup. That's what we were talking about. We have not spy photos. God, we're running all sorts of spy photos. We have teaser photos. These are so we have spy photos from photographers who find these trucks and they take camouflage photos. Then we get teaser photos, and then we get actual photos from the PR team. Then we get real photos that journalists actually take. So this is where we're at. This is where we're going towards, right? And so I was sent an email from a spy photographer with interior photos of the Hyundai Santa Cruz today. I did not look at those because I was too damn busy. And then the news broke of a teaser image.
Rocks and
yes,
things.
yes, I'm telling you, this is hard work. A teaser image of this stuff. And then I know that we have sometime next month. I don't know if we're announcing dates. We're going to see this thing. So this is where we're at in this process.
April 15th, they did say.
Did they say that? Okay, so April 15th. So we know that there is this path we're going down. Okay? So, but here's the interesting part, and I read Jill's article today. Remember, you made an issue, didn't make an issue, but you pointed out the acronym for the Santa Cruz. The sport, is it sport lifestyle? What is that?
I'm like, acronym? Is that the word that you think that you mean? The sport adventure vehicle.
Yes, I guess not
sport
acronym.
Adventure
right.
vehicle. Come on, you got to say it with panache.
Sport adventure vehicle. Right? So, I mean, we have what looks like a Subaru Baja with the crew cab with a bed. That's what we have. I mean, it literally looks the same thing. Maybe, they got to be taller these days. So all trucks got to be taller. So a little bit taller.
A little bit longer. Yeah,
a little bit longer, right? But that's what we have. So it's like, where are we going to go with this as far as what is that, sport activity vehicle? Because, adventure,
not activity.
Because you brought up
activity vehicle is BMW's little fake acronym for SUV. So, come on. Adventure. You
Sport
gotta like do the hand
adventure.
gesture.
Sport
Yes,
adventure
adventure. Oh,
vehicle.
you added a hair flip. Well done.
Do I have a
No, you don't have hair, but you tried to add the hair flip. If you had hair, it would totally have flipped.
yeah, so I mean, this is interesting, right? So we have yet again. I mean, is it a Maverick competitor? Probably not. Maverick's more unibody, but people are going to compare it anyways. Is it a competitor for the Rivian? Probably, because they talk about the Rivian being this sport vehicle. You know,
Say no. The Rivian's actually like a
big.
big truck.
Yeah. So I mean,
I have pictures of me like in the like area between the seat and the truck bed. So it's big.
yeah. So I'm confused by this as far as how big the market's going to be for this and how much we're going to keep this around, where it's going to end up as. So I'm curious.
So the interesting thing too, I went back because while I was writing this, because again, following my own rule, if you can't add anything new or different, I wanted to look at the old 2000. So backing up a little bit. So back in 2015, Hyundai actually had a concept truck that they launched at the Detroit Auto Show.
Mm-hmm.
So 2015 Detroit Auto Show. So I actually went back and I watched the reveal of the truck and I watched a couple of videos about it. And first off, it doesn't look that different from the concept. I mean, the lighting signature at the front is new because it's going to be based on the Hyundai Tucson. So like the front lighting signature. Let me actually enunciate. So the front lighting, I know. See, I caught myself. But the front lighting signature is like the Hyundai Tucson, the new 2022 Tucson. So we've done a couple of articles on that, and it has like a very interesting signature. But the general shape and structure of the vehicle looks pretty similar to what that concept vehicle was. And some of the functionality that they talked about during the reveal of that concept, with the extendable bed and the hard tonneau cover and a really functional interior. Like, I have to think that even though they literally gave us like a 100-word press release with these teaser photos, but I have to think that a lot of the functionality that concept car had is going to be in this actual production vehicle, because otherwise, why would you do it? So what I'm really curious about is that extendable bed, because they said that you could, and they wouldn't tell you how they did it in the videos that I watched from the concept, but the bed extends to be the size of like a mid-sized pickup truck. So the idea being that you could actually fit a motorcycle, like, or a motorbike or a dirt bike or whatever, inside the bed of this sport adventure vehicle.
They could do something similar to what the Avalanche used to do with the midgate, where you fold down the back crew cab and you have the extra room. It is still a unibody pickup, which I feel like we need a new category of this vehicle now. So the Honda Ridgeline in it, throw the Maverick in it, throw this in it. It is a unibody. They did talk about a diesel in 2015, but that's clearly going to die. I mean, there's just no way to do a diesel in that small size. I've been discussing with some people about the Ford Maverick not being a hybrid, because I just feel like the price point would make it too far. I mean, I pointed out the Ford Escape, and I looked at the Ford Escape. Ford Escape base price $24,000. The hybrid is $30,000. The plug-in hybrid is like $34,000, if I remember the numbers correctly. But I mean, you couldn't do apples and apples because the hybrid was an SEL versus SC of the Ford Escape, and it's the different variables back and forth. But it was about $3,000 more. And I said, if you're trying to build a economical unibody pickup for city dwellers or fleet people, whatever, price is a huge problem, and price is a huge concern, because one of the things that happened when the Ford Ranger came out was the price point wasn't enough difference between that and the F-150. People just bought the F-150 instead because they're like, the price is different. Now, again, a mid-sized customer is different than a full-size customer, and there's those customers that just wanted the smaller size. So I totally get that, but I just think price point is going to be very sensitive on the Maverick. They got to make that price point work to get volume up. It's a huge deal. And I think the same thing with the Hyundai Santa Cruz is the price point is going to be very closely watched because they're trying to get somebody to say, don't buy the new compact car, buy this instead. And the financing terms are going to be the same for somebody who's a first-time car buyer, a younger audience, somebody in their 20s and 30s who wants a new car because they're tired of having the beat-up old cars that always break down. So it is going to be interesting how that happens and how that's going to come out. I do see it as Jill says, excuse me, a lifestyle vehicle, surfboard on the back, that kind of stuff. I can see that happening.
The other thing that they mentioned back in 2015 is that their target customer is basically a compact SUV owner. So the interior of the cabin, and it's going to be, we've reported previously, it's going to be built on the Tucson platform. So in my mind, like, it's going to be the interior of a Tucson. So car seats will fit, an average size adult will fit in the back seat. You're not going to have like a lot of interior volume, but you'll have enough. And then you have this bed on the back. And in the concept car video, they talked a lot about, put your dirty, smelly gear in the back and you don't smell up your vehicle. And by the way, as a runner, I totally get that. Because I often change out of my dirty, smelly running clothes and put them in the trunk or in the cargo area of the vehicle, and then go to breakfast with my running friends. And one time, I forgot that dirty, smelly stuff in the back of the vehicle when it was a 100-degree day. And when I went to go turn the vehicle in, like, I literally wrote an apology note to our fleet manager because it was rancid. So, I used rancid politely. I mean, it was worse than rancid. And so, like, I mean, if you're like an activity person, wait, adventure lifestyle person, I can see that. Like, leave your dirty, smelly stuff in the trunk or in the truck bed with that hard tonneau cover, and you forget it. No problem. Does not matter at all. So I mean, they're targeting somebody who owns a small or compact sport utility vehicle, but maybe wants the functionality occasionally of that truck bed. So I don't know. It's really interesting. There is nothing that competes with it. But at the end of my article, what I said is, is this only going to be a couple years? Like, is this like 2 years? And they're like, oh crap, we made a mistake, and then it like quietly dies, or is this something that other automakers are going to emulate?
And see, when I look at this stuff, I thought this is where Tesla should have gone. I think this vehicle as a battery electric vehicle would have made total sense, right? So it's a sport adventure vehicle.
No.
I was trying to jazz hands.
Adventure, jazz hands, yeah.
I was trying, but I mean, this is something that's what I like about Rivian's viewpoint is they took a very purpose-built vehicle and made it very purpose-built. This is the same idea, but it like, to me, it harkens back to the days of the Chevy El Camino, the Ford Ranchero. These sedan-like trucks. You have the utility of a truck, but you have the sedan. At that point was a mile per gallon, and at that point seating position. So I find that's going to be really interesting, and it's one of those things that, frankly, it's going to be more about your ballpark. I mean, it's not something. I see people buying and driving the Honda Ridgeline around here. I find that customer is a little bit older customer. That maybe it's the first time to pick up. I had a friend just buy one. She was in suburbia, I think Atlanta. I mean, a big city in the suburbs. They wanted something to get some mulch from the store, to get plants, things like that, not mess up the SUV interior all the time. And it was the first time they bought a truck ever. And they bought a Honda Ridgeline because, for them, they wanted ride quality, they wanted fuel economy, they wanted something reliable. Their buying buying reasons were different. I was talking to her online about this a little bit. And she bought one. And I think it makes sense for them. I mean, they are both getting into retirement age, never owned a truck before. And I've said it many times on this live stream in different places that there's no better utilitarian vehicle than a pickup truck. Not only can you haul the family, not only can you go on date night, not only can you drive it to work back and forth, you can do anything you want with it on the weekends. It allows you so many opportunities to do things, which is one of my key words for trucks when I argue with my critics online all the time, is that it's the opportunity to do something. It's not the fact that my bed is squeaky clean. It's not the fact that I never put it in my bed anyways. It's the opportunity that I can use a truck any way I want to. And that doesn't seem like it helps my argument at all. But I keep fighting it.
Fight the good fight.
Yes. If you want some fun, grab a bag of popcorn. I wrote an article on pickuptrucktalk.com that Jill unfortunately had to edit. That was in defense of the modern pickup truck. There was some pushback from some people at Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg that I took exception to. And it seems like, I don't know if this is fair or not, but it seems like anytime there is a controversial truck article, anti-truck thing on automotive media, we have a Facebook group that we're all like private groups part of, or anywhere, I tend to get tagged in the stuff all the time. And I'm
usually doing the tagging, by the way.
I always get tagged in the stuff, so I always have to fight back a little bit. But yeah, so I fought back on this, and that's an article that you're welcome to share. I literally got tired of responding to Facebook messages, and I just sat down and I wrote. And I am a very fast writer, and sometimes that's good and sometimes it's bad. But I had like 1,700 words out in like 25 minutes.
I know, and I was like, I need to like process this a little bit, because first off, okay, I get 2 inches is not that different, 5 inches is not that different, but where I was trying to get you to clarify, you're like, yeah, it's only 20 inches longer than, you know, what it was. And I'm like, okay, that's like half of me. That seems really long. That seems like a big difference. You're like, not that big of a difference. I'm like,
I did clarify that in articles, because I told her, I said, let me go back and reread it, because sometimes you fire things off the hip and you got to take a breath and look at it a couple days later. It's like that angry email to, like, well, not your boss, you can't send me those anymore, but angry email to your ex or something.
I can still send you those.
No, you can't send me those. But then you should save it. You should never send those. You should put it in draft.
No, I actually do that to you face to face. We're good. We have video chats. It's fine.
Right. I mean, but that's so. I had to.
We aired that on a live stream. It's good. It's totally fine.
I had to go back and actually. I had to go back and read that one, but and then so this is my argument against it was how often do you pick the scab on that? How often do you fire back? I mean, you know, sometimes you open the door yet again to get more of an argument. And I'm sure, I haven't checked Facebook, I'm sure, and that comment, I'm sure I'm getting lots of comments and things. People are, you know, there's always something that the viewpoint they have on it. But I just, you know, there's so much. I find there's an absurd amount of anti-truck in the automotive press, and I just do. And it seems like these guys are full EV, they're full sports cars, they're full anything. But if they have a truck, it's kind of one of those things, which I thought was interesting. So a little behind the scenes, Jill got tagged in a post because somebody had got a pickup truck who never really gets them, doesn't understand them, and tagged Jill because she knows more about trucks than he does. And I thought
which is a very scary thought,
right? And he's a mutual friend of ours, and I thought it was pretty interesting. He, you know, I just okay, and
he likes me more than you. I don't know.
Right, but I thought it was pretty interesting that in this day and age, when trucks are now occupying, I mean, the majority of the market. I mean, it really is. It's. I don't remember what the numbers were, but I want to say sedan sales are, wow, are they 30%, 40%, something in that range? I mean, it's not. Yeah. So I mean, trucks and SUVs are occupying the marketplace, and for an auto journalist never to drive a truck seems absurd. Now, I have driven sports cars. I've done the Mustang at the track. I've done Camaros. I've done a Corvette. I've done, which, oh, that brings a really funny story. I don't know if I should tell that story. Okay, so we're going to go after hours here on Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk.
Wait,
I'm gonna
should
make
I be
this,
drinking too?
I'm going to make this PC for everybody. All right, take a minute. You want to listen to the story. So I was doing a drive event in Denver. It's RMAP, Recommended Automotive Press, and they brought a bunch of vehicles in. And before I started this channel, I was doing a bunch of car stuff and things. It just wasn't my passion. But I was in that day driving a Corvette Stingray, and they had us drive around a 5-mile loop, right? So you see the mountains a little bit, or 5 or 10 miles, whatever it was, loop, and you see the mountains, and you get in the gas a little bit, and you have a little fun with the car. It's all controlled. It's lead and follow, so you don't get out of control. And I was in the lead car, bringing a bunch of people behind me. And I had turned around the corner and was heading back to the hotel, and there was a dirt road that went down into the countryside. We were in Estes Park, so kind of, if you know Estes Park, it's mountainside and dirt road, whatever. And I look over, and there's an old Ford pickup sitting there. And I'm like, oh, Ford pickup. So I, check it. It's like a 1970 square body, whatever. And I look over and I see a head in the driver's seat, and I see another head get raised up and look in shock from the passenger seat. And that passenger had long hair. Jill's giving me a look, but yeah. So I was like, well then, it's I was like, wow. So then I drove back to the hotel. But that's when I became hooked on trucks. At that exact moment. Right. I'm getting the X signs from Jill. So those are the funny things that happen on press events. But yeah, I don't know why that memory came up, but that was just kind of a funny memory. So these things happen. Am I talking about?
I'm gonna say my first memory of a Corvette Stingray is the birth of Girl in the Trunk, because I was viewing a Corvette Z06 in 2006, and I thought, wow, that's a really big trunk. I bet I could fit back there. And I've never heard the end of it since. # Girl in the Trunk. And there's a Twitter handle and a Instagram handle, all dedicated to me getting into trunks.
Or Ram boxes, or
Ram boxes. Moving away from whatever it was you were talking about. Like, oh man, like really? Like, wow. Okay.
Well, it happened. I mean, it wasn't my doing. Yeah, I don't know. Those things happen. Yeah. Jill, that was a rating. Gene says that was a rating. Yeah, there's another conversation that are happening with trucks, is that with all of these shutdowns, should you just wait for 2022? I think yes.
Girl, you totally changented. Thank you. I was like, whoo. Okay. Yes. Next topic. What have you got?
Things happen to me in press events, but no, I mean, yeah.
That actually would be an interesting topic for the after hours version. Things that happen to me on press events.
Ooh.
We both have stories to tell.
Ooh, that would be an interesting video. We could do not for kids. Yeah.
Not safe for work. NSW. What? Not safe for work. Yeah. NSFW. Yeah. Acronyms. Not good with those.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, that'd be funny. We'd have to do it in person though. We can't do it. Yeah. Maybe. So, programming note: Jill and I are actually meeting in person in 2 weeks. 1, 2, 3 weeks. Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. I feel like I have 4 plane flights in between then, so I got nothing.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Lots of fun stuff going on. I am going to. I want to talk about this too. I have a GMC Canyon AT4 outside, the same one that Andre did a video on that I thought was interesting. Anyways, and I decided that the AT4 is the same size as my 62. I was pulling up behind it, so I had to get Swede going. So I got Swede going. There was a YouTube short about it, and I've been driving around the yard a little bit, trying to make room for the rock project. Rock project is very key. And so I was like, well, let me pull this behind the GMC Canyon, and then I will make sure that I can fit it on whatever. I was pulling behind the GMC Canyon and realized that it's the same size of the Swede. That was interesting. But no, what I'm getting towards is the fact that there's an app. It's called the Onyx Off-Road app, and I happen to know one of the top PR people for that who commented my channel. And I need to download this app because I'm going to go up to northern Nebraska, which sounds impressive, but it's just really northern Nebraska. And I'm going to try to find off-road trails with this GMC Canyon. That's going to be my adventure Monday. So Monday I'm taking a day. I'm going to be gone all day. I'm going to go do this. That's my plan with that vehicle. So I'm curious if you can legitimately off-road in flat old Nebraska. Now, Shattern State Park up there, I've heard it's got tall pines, it's rocky terrain, and then the Black Hills, South Dakota, where Mount Rushmore is just like a 30 minutes away. So it's similar terrain. So I am curious if I can get there. So for me, that's 2-3 hour drive, to get up there and goof around and stuff like that. But so I was thinking about this too. Like Jill, you could off road like on the west side of Chicago, like potholes area. Like, is that?
No, like down my street. Yes. Because not only are there potholes, but we have speed bumps that are literally the length of the car. So you're like, approach angle, departure angle. We could totally do all of that. They're like really long and they're like. I don't know what Chicago's thinking. Like, the speed limit is 20, but you can only go 5 over these speed bumps. And I'm like, not even 5. Like, if you go 5, you're still gonna, like, crash into something. So it's like...
But the mayor lives down the road from you. So why are those not fixed?
She hates us all. I have no idea. She doesn't listen to anybody. She literally lives a half a mile from me. She's on my running route, and she's on, like, pretty much every driving route I do. Like, I drove past her house twice today. And the 5 Chicago cops who sit outside of her house. But yeah, no, I you would think living there, because our mayor lives there, would be in really good shape, but no.
G wants to know if I tape measured the canyon against the Swede. Jill, as managing editor of the website, do you think that's a good story to measure my truck against 62? Or actually, measure the 62 versus the GMC Canyon?
Well, I mean, you just made the claim that you thought it was the same size. So you have to back that up. I don't know that's a good story, but it's definitely something you now need to verify.
Hopefully I'm more accurate. Well, considering my rock project was off by more than half, I hope more accurate.
Yeah. Tim math is, we've decided, really not good. Jill math, which is not good, is better than Tim math. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, I better put a caveat there that I will use a tape measure and I will do my best to measure it. But I was thinking about this. Like, I was thinking it is actually probably the same size. I was thinking it probably is the same. I don't know. It just visually looks like it. That's the problem. But all right, let's do it. Measure yes, good idea. So Harry says measure yes. So give me a thumbs up. 50 people watching, give me a yes, whatever. Do you think I'd be interested in do a 62 C10 versus the 2021 GMC Canyon? It's a crew cab. Let me caveat this. It's a crew cab with I think it's a 5.5-foot bed. Double check that one. I think that's the minimum bed they do on a crew cab midsize. Interestingly, it does not have a hitch receiver, because with the off-road package decided that you may bottom out a hitch receiver, which is wrong. But they did not put it on there, which I find very fascinating about this truck. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drive to northern Nebraska, and I'm going to see if I can't off-road with this thing the best I can. So, interesting stuff going on there with that. I don't know. What else is going on? I'm kind of...
Wait, that could be an addendum to your old man get off my lawn rant that you did about the size of the modern truck. Measuring that against Swede and saying, hashtag not different.
Yes, I will make sure I hashtag that quite a bit.
I know, I'm like, I don't know how you do the
your Italian's coming out.
Hashtag. I know.
My wife
and this is, by the way, why I'm now in wireless headphones, because I talk and hit the cord and things go bad. So, yeah, this was the better solution, because the inner Italian needs no cords.
Yeah, no, I think you had a comment on that on one of your videos about your hands were just going crazy, which I thought was kind of funny. So, no, I think that's about all I have for tonight. Do you have anything else? I'm running out of steam. All that rock, I'm telling you, the rock wore me out tonight. It just...
you have like 11 more minutes, Tim.
I know, and I'm thinking about if I have too much more rock, I'm going to go ahead and get a skid steer, because screw that. And besides, isn't a skid steer fun to play with? I don't know if you guys do construction work, but every time I get a skid steer, it's a lot of fun. Have you been in a skid steer, Jill? No.
Now you sound like my dad, who cannot, like, he calls me number 3, because, like, my parents, so Judy and Joe, decided to name their kids Julie, Jenny, and Jill, and he'll be like, number 3. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
I've often wondered, how much do you guys kill it in Scrabble? I mean, you're thinking these different letters all the time, right?
All the J's? What? No, I kill it in Scrabble, but I don't know about anybody else. We don't play with each other.
Oh, I see. All right, so skid steer. Yes, no?
No.
You've not enjoyed...
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, my goodness.
What?
Yeah, come on. You don't know what a skid steer is? It's got the bucket in the front. You sit in it. You have 2 handles. Yeah, it's a tractor with a front end loader. Works great. Harry's right. I mean, I've driven these things. They're awesome. You know what we need to do? Have you driven a tank?
No, I've been invited to drive a tank several times, but I have never driven a tank. I think that's in Minnesota, right?
Yes. And I hear somebody's going to Minnesota.
I know. I'm like, so here's the thing. I'm going to be doing a half marathon in Minnesota in June.
We could drive a tank in June. I know the guy still.
He occasionally messages me. I feel like things were shut down a little bit, obviously, during COVID, but...
Oh, they're totally open. I mean, that guy... I was there, and the guy... there's a video on this channel of me driving a tank with my friend Aaron. But I could get to Minnesota because we drove straight through, and so Jill and I could drive a tank in Minnesota.
We could make that happen. And I will be having a Toyota Sienna to drive up to and back from... And then we could drive, maybe compare the Toyota Sienna to a tank. No? I'm trying to figure out, no. Okay.
In what world would... that'd be like a... That'd be like a certain publication always compares everything to Porsche 911s. That'd be the same idea.
Everything can be compared to a Porsche 911. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 1 year anniversary since Joe Diffie passed away. That's too bad. Joe Diffie? Oh. Jill doesn't know this one. Sorry, Brad. P.R. Atkins. Yeah. Dave's here. No, she doesn't know this one. Joe Diffie, something about a pickup man. Something about a pickup truck. Girl. Country song. Yeah. Yeah, so that's going to be it. Tractor Time with Tim for tips on using. Oh, is it? There's a YouTube channel called Tractor Time with Tim. I'm so intrigued. By this. I have to find this channel. No, it's a skid steer. People call it backhoe. Backhoe doesn't make sense because backhoe, there's a hoe on the back of the backhoe. That's what you pick up with. Anyways.
A hole on the back of the hat. What?
Well, so
hole on the back of the backhoe.
Yeah, so a backhoe has the hoe is the bucket. And it's the back of the tractor. They call it backhoe. Jill's learning all sorts of stuff.
I drive a GTI. Leave me alone.
Oh, there was a question about your GTI. Did you get a free cord with the VW?
Oh, yeah. Volkswagen. No. So by the way, I will say I do have like 100-foot extension cable, but no, I did not gift that to my husband. It's actually sitting in my garage right now. And 100-foot was totally overkill. But my old place that I lived in, like I had the end garage spot all the way over here, and the plug-in was like all the way over there. So I was just like, go big or go home. Just get the biggest extension cord I could, and it was like literally 100 feet, and it was way too long. So I do have one, but no, I'm not gifting it to him.
If it's 100-foot long, that's 20 Jills.
It was really, 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 really long, and it's like I like when I try to like coil it up, I like try to like I hold one here and I'm like wrapping it around, and I'm like more than 20 Jills.
All right. Dave gave us $10. Thanks, Dave, for that. I want to shout out to Dave. I didn't get to watch the whole thing, and I don't know if Jill saw this one either. Dave interviewed a guy. This is cool. He had a guy from Australia on his channel, and he had some Armadas that they had modified for like overlanding in the bush, and then he had a Jeep Gladiator. He was talking about a little bit the segment I caught, and I thought it was really interesting. He did a live stream with a guy from Australia, with himself and his buddy from California. Bobcat. Yeah, you could do a Bobcat for skid steer. I've heard a Bobcat name. But anyways, they had the guy in the middle, and they're doing a walk around with this guy from Australia. And I thought that was pretty darn cool. And I got to give him props for that. It's on All Train Nation. Go check it out. And you can find the video there. It's a pretty cool video. And like I said, I watched part of it, and I want to go back and watch more of it. I just haven't got to it. But it is a cool video. I want to give him a shout out for that. Yeah, I did. We call it skid steers a lot around here. Bobcat's another way for it. Bobcat's, I think, is Bobcat one of the name brands? People just said it was because they created the thing. Yeah, interesting. Anyways. All right. That's it. That's all. No, Joe's got more. This is what happens. This is why.
Wait, there's more.
Dark eyes.
No, actually, I was thinking about like what's on the website right now, and there's actually a video/web post that I think we should call attention to that Nicole Wakeland did.
Oh,
and she lives in New Hampshire, and she went to, was it the New Hampshire Oil Undercoating? I think that's the name of it, yeah. NHOU. And so, as you know, we have been covering like rust issues on the underbody of trucks. And so she went to this place in New Hampshire where they actually basically coat the underside of the entire vehicle with oil. And this helps prevent rust. And if you already have rust on the underside of your vehicle, it basically stops the rust from continuing. And so I don't know. I read the video post. I started watching, the actual video, and I thought it was an interesting answer. So if you are in a vehicle that doesn't, so I think we discovered that basically Stellantis, which is formerly known as Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, and Toyota are like the two automakers we found so far that actually paint or undercoat their underbits. Their underbits. Before they sell them, and everybody else kind of like leaves it alone and lets it like fare however. So if you have one of those vehicles that is not undercoated on the underbits, you can take it to someplace like this New Hampshire Oil Undercoating, and they will coat it so that the rust either doesn't happen or stops happening. And I thought that was really interesting. So there's a video on YouTube. There's also an article on the website. I definitely think you should check that out if you are concerned about rust. Because we are continuing coverage. We're still having conversations, trying to figure out what's going on with rust on the underbits.
It's the story that doesn't end. It's the story that keeps on giving. It's one of those things. I was talking to Nicole about it, and we talked about it about a month ago, and she went up and did the story because I wanted to get on video a company doing this because I know they exist, right? I want to understand it. So I asked her to do it. I thought Philippe Emmanuel had a really good comment. He said, he goes, if you do this in American trucks, he goes, it makes you want to buy the Tesla Cybertruck that much more. And I got thinking about the Cybertruck is apparently going to have an aluminum frame, and so aluminum won't rust like this. But I wonder what they're going to do with the rear axle, because that's the big thing. Basically, Dana is not doing a good e-coating job on the rear axle. That's why you need this if you want to preserve your truck. Because the thing is, even though it's rust in the rear axle, rust does spread, and so over time, which is what we're learning from different automakers and different people right now, is if you do not do something about that, you're gonna have problems. There is also a question about how messy it is. I saw the video. I saw all the raw stuff Friday night. She sent it to me late. I've decided people on the East Coast stay up really late. That's what I've decided. Because it must have been 11 o'clock her time. She sent me this video, and I was really impressed by that. I mean, I was getting tired myself because I'm up at really early. I have kids. Anyways, I saw this video, and I was mesmerized by the process of applying it. It was like watching a This Whole House episode. I was like, wow, they do this, they do that next, And then there was a question came about messiness. And Rick has the same comment. He saw the video, it looks messy. And I agree, it is a very messy, it looks messy. It does definitely look a messy process. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because, as a mechanic, every auto mechanic wants the surface to be completely clean, like brand new. But that's not the reality of being a mechanic. I mean, it's just not. And most things are going to have a little bit of dirt, grime mixed in. Every time I work on an old truck, like I have a 66, I have torn down body off frame at the farm, working my 62. I mean, I power washed the engine. I've done engine cleaner. I've actually I took an engine apart, rebuilt it, and cleaned it all off. I mean, it's just a mess. It's just a mess. It's no matter what you do, whether it is a messy process or it's a grime process, from dirt, debris, whatever, you're gonna have a mess in this stuff. You're always gonna wipe this stuff off. It's just part of being a mechanic. I mean, it's mechanics. Look at a mechanic's hands once. Damn things are nasty. I mean, it's just, there's oil, there's always, they don't really care. So I thought it was interesting, those comments on mess. And then there's also comments about, like, would you do this, or would you do, like, Rust-Oleum paint, or would you use, like, a fluid film? Would you do something? So I've kind of thought that if they do send me a DIY kit, I'm thinking about taking my 62 and propping it up, and then applying about 3 or 4 different treatments. And then, I'll drive him in a winter here and there just because of the test the video. It'll take me like a year to get this video done. But I thought, let me apply different treatments and see what happens over the course of a year. Because I think that makes more sense than saying one's the best, one's not the best. I don't know. It was just...
So the interesting thing about this, the oil coating, though, is, I mean, they do recommend you reapply every year. And somebody asked, does it survive the undercarriage wash? No, they recommend that you don't do an undercarriage wash until after the winter is over. But what I thought was really interesting, and it was the fact that by putting the oil coating on there, it basically suffocates the rust. So if you had a truck that already had rust on the bottom and you did this oil undercoating, you're kind of preventing the rust from spreading because it lacks oxygen to continue the spread. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the answer is. Is it Rust-Oleum? Is it an oil undercoating? Is it, an automaker actually treating it to prevent anything from happening in the future? I don't know. But once you notice the rust happening, like, you don't want to sandblast it or take the rust off, because that's going to do more harm than good. But what can you do? And I think that solutions like the oil undercoating or Rust-Oleum or something like that, as long as it's clean underneath and you prevent the spread, like, that's a viable option.
I'm going to end with this, because I've been a journalist now 8-10 years, whatever the deal is, and I've restored...
Wow, you're still young.
Yeah, I've restored old trucks. Jill's been a journalist since 1947. So
I have been.
We have done this
job...
That
is true. It is not an April Fool's whatever.
What my point is we have done this job for a really long time, and sometimes it happens this job and you end up going down a rabbit hole. You end up going down this rabbit hole, getting stuck in stuff. And I will say that this rust story has been one of those really interesting rabbit holes. And people have some very strong opinions, one way or the other. And I what I find about it is I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great. Have a strong opinion. Our job as journalists is to bring you the information we're going to find, report on it, and then get your feedback. Your feedback is what is important. So, getting feedback from people, understanding what they're talking about. And I think it's been a very interesting conversation going on. We have more stories coming on the website. And I will say that Jill had a Toyota Tacoma. There's a photo of her underneath the Tacoma looking at the undercarriage, which I think is a first for her on a truck. I think it's a first.
I looked under the Buick Envision as well. I'm just going to put that out there.
Right, but as a truck, this is the first time you've actually, I think it's interesting because we're doing stuff now that we had never done. There's a video tomorrow with the 3/4 ton Chevy Silverado video dropping tomorrow. I had it for a week, and I show off the undercarriage in that, which is something I hadn't done before. So we're putting a spotlight on something that people either assumed was always that way, or they didn't care about, or whatever. And I have learned from other automakers, like Toyota especially, is that there are certain cultures where the salesman walks around with a mirror and shows off the undercarriage. And I find it very interesting that there's nothing about the there's not much about American consumers that want that same feedback. They're okay with it. Whatever, it's gonna rust out, no big deal. It's like this whole idea. It's a disposable appliance now. That's what trucks are. It's a disposable appliance. you're gonna buy it in 5 years, it's gonna rust out. I did find it interesting that the oil company
$50,000 disposable appliance.
Yeah, but I've seen that in the comments. It's like I find the whole thing very fascinating. What people's viewpoints on it, and I thought it was really interesting that oil company he legitimately had his Ford F-250, I think it was 2006, rust out, and he started the oil company business, undercoating business. I mean, and then he had another Ford in the shop doing a video of it. So I'm like, it's like these guys. If you don't think people don't care about rust, check my inbox sometime. I got emails from owners every day after that story broke about photos of their vehicle, photos of what they're doing. I have a guy I don't think he's got a resolution yet, but he was going to actively sue Ford over it. I mean, there's guys that are really pissed off about this, and there's guys that are like, it's no big deal. You should know anyways. And I find at the end of the day that the truck buying audience is changing. It's changing. And they demand more for their dollar, and trucks are getting more expensive. And so you have this confluence of different ideas going at once. And, if you can tell somebody you're going to go buy a Mercedes-Benz, and now you go buy a Ford with the Platinum, for example, and you can have rust in your Platinum when you drive off the lot, I think it has some problems. If you can tell a new truck buyer, you go buy, let's go buy the new Rivian, and your first 100 miles of Rivian, you're going to have rust in that truck somewhere. That's going to be a real problem for that customer. It's a real different expectation happening. And I just find it's going to be, I think social media's going to have a problem with it. There's going to be lots of problems with that. It's going on. Miles Mack has a thing about Nebraska National Forest. I'll check that out. Halsey, Nebraska, you said. I'll look that up. And then Bud Guy wants to know about Rangers and Super Duties having a rust problem like the M50. Yes. Yep. Ford had I'm just saying this... I'm just making the assumption, I should say. I'm making an assumption because Ford, Jill had a Ford Bronco Sport that had this similar rust issue. It's not an issue. I don't want to say issue. It's a cosmetic thing. It's not going to, unless it spreads and gets through a thinner metal, it's not the end of the world, but it does have rust. And I just want to be careful with this because people are like, oh, you're whining about this. Why do you whine about this? I'm like, I'm not whining. I'm just putting the information out to your hands and in your hands as far as what's going on. It's not an issue. It's a pride of ownership.
It's an issue, but the question is it a problem?
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. So it's an issue. It's not a problem. But if you have my thing is if you have a profound sense of ownership, a pride of ownership, then it's a problem. If you don't care,
if you have a vehicle that's 2 months old that looks like some of the vehicles we've seen.
Yeah, I keep thinking about whether we should keep going down this road or not, whether we should keep call off the dogs, as it were, But I keep finding that the comments we're getting from people are consistent. They want to see what's going. They want to know this information, and I find that happens time and time again in the comments. I get people to say I'm unsubscribed because you posted this video, and I look at the numbers and I have 200 subscribers more than their one. And so I'm finding that the audience is wanting more and more of this. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, I'm not whining about it. I'm not trying to make it the mountain of a molehill. But when I got consumers who are out there trying to learn more information, and my goal is to make you an informed consumer, I think that fits our goal of making you an informed consumer.
Yeah, and I'll say I talked to somebody, I don't know that I'm ready to say who, but I talked to somebody today who is from an automaker who they actually do an undercoating on their vehicles, and they basically said 100% it was a customer satisfaction issue. It was cosmetic. They're undercoating the vehicle it would not extend the life of the parts underneath in the underbits, as I like to call them, but it was 100% customer satisfaction. He was like, why wouldn't we do that if it's going to make people happy?
Yeah. I will say this, we're doing Harry, we are talking about rust in our videos now. So you're going to see the Chevy, I'm talking about rust. Jill's talking about it with her vehicles as well. We're bringing this up. Jill has a very good article going. She's trying to get more people go on record. If you don't know, people will not go on record with us. They will not talk to us. They ignore this conversation. Like automakers, even automakers we have applauded will ignore this conversation. And it's been tough to get the data out to you guys, but it seems like it's more of a thing. Gene says, I'm seeing more and more videos about this condition from other vloggers that never did this before. Dare I say we're breaking new ground, but I think we are. I think people are, I mean, and it's a fundamental, to me, it's a stupid damn thing. You know, to spray your rear diff or rear axle housing, whatever you call the damn thing. I've had people tell me, whatever, I'm not going to go down the road. But to spray with some E-coating on there, some undercoating on the Dana axles, and give it a little extra spray and not cheap out and buy the cheaper stainless steel hangers like Ford has done and buy a higher quality stainless steel hanger, which is a few cents here. Now, I understand cents matter, but I mean, God, it's a $61,000 truck. I'm sorry, take your profits elsewhere. You know, I just think it matters. I think people, I think we need to be more upset about this. And I'm over it in my truck. I'm going to take and get whatever fluid film, whatever. I'm going to spray my truck underneath. And I'll do a do-it-yourself thing for that. I'll do the covering for it. It's fine. I don't feel like I should do it as a new truck owner. It shouldn't be my problem, but apparently it's going to be fixed one way or another, which is me. And I haven't got a dealer yet. I need to get over there and do an oil change, and that's on my list of things to do. Once I get done with the rock, I'll do that. But anyways, this has gone exceptionally long. I want to let Jill get off the hook here. She's got to do dinner and things. But I want, if you listen to the podcast, make sure you let me know, email if you're liking the podcast. I'm still putting it out there. Again, thanks for watching on the channel. It's been huge. The success of this month's been insane. Just been insane. And Jill and I are really enjoying your feedback, and we're really trying to become more cognizant of your feedback. To, you know, we're digging into stuff. If you email us something, we're trying to find more information about it. We're trying to get the details for you. So it's not that we're ignoring the audience, which some other channels do. Anyways.
And comments on the website as well. Like, someone commented today. So, I mean, we've talked about this in the past, like the adjustable pedals story.
Yes.
Somebody commented on the article that I wrote about the adjustable pedals in trucks, and they're like, "Oh, well, Toyota has this on their trucks," and I was just like, "I don't think so." So I literally like emailed Toyota, and I was like, "Hey, have you ever had adjustable pedals on your trucks?" And they're like, "Yeah, no." So I was able to go back to the guy and I'm like, "Talk to Toyota directly. Not an option. It's only, you know, the Ram or the Ford if you want adjustable pedals." So when you comment, when you ask us questions, we really do like listen to and try to look into it. If we can find an answer, we do.
Yeah. Unknown target, thoughts on Rust and Maroon GMC AT4 Andre had at TFL reviewed. It's a GM product. GM products have Rust. That's the flat out bottom line. GM and Ford, in our viewpoint, have Rust. We've looked at GM and Fords. I've looked at Toyotas. I've looked at Nissans. I've looked at Ram or, you know, Dodges, whatever you call these things. They don't have Rust. GM and Ford, they don't care. It's just one of those things. So yeah. Anyways, I'm going to sign up tonight. I will. Jill and I will see you guys down the road. Okay. God, that Rust story will not end.